My name is Ben Jenkins. I am a sales engineer here at Datto, and today we're joined by my colleague, Mr. George Cochran, and we're going to go ahead and show you a Datto disaster demo. Through this disaster demo, you're going to see a multitude of different Datto products, and hopefully at the end of this, you're going to see how these Datto products can help you support your customers through their normal working days. So, as we can see on the screen at this point in time, we are logged into Walter Richard's desktop. He's using Windows 7. He has been advised by Bontech, who are the MSP who are supporting Walter, to swiftly move off of it. However, he doesn't seem to have done that right now. And we know that Walter has got a pretty busy day. He's got some files he needs to create, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to start that right now. From right-clicking on the Documents page, we're going ahead and we're creating a text document, and we're going to call this MSP Tech Day. Now, inside of here, we need to throw some data. So, George, what did you have for dinner last night?
I had KFC because I was driving home.
Lovely. KFC, wonderful.
It was indeed.
So, what's your favourite colour, George?
I'm going to go for teal. Not blue, not green, somewhere in the middle.
Lovely. Teal, wonderful. Okay. And obviously, you are based in London.
I am indeed.
What is your favourite London street? Preferably something fairly small and easy to spell.
Denmark Street. There's a lot of good guitar shops there.
Perfect. I can spell Denmark Street. Now, what we've gone ahead and done really here is created some data. That's really all we're actually trying to show here. The data has been created inside of Walter's documents, which are actually conveniently syncing up to his OneDrive account, because Walter is using Office 365 not just for file storage, but for Exchange, for email, etc. as well. Now, moving over from there, and we're going to talk about kind of SaaS protection, how that helps. Walter also has some extra layers of protection on top of that, and that is Datto Cloud Continuity. As we know, Datto Cloud Continuity backs up Windows 7 and Windows 10 machines every 2 hours from the last backup that was taken. And because Walter has gone ahead and actually created some very important documents here, he can go ahead, right-click on the little Datto Cloud Continuity icon down there, and force a backup now should he want to. And that would make sure that all of the data that he has created on this machine is going to be backed up to the Datto Cloud and stored there in case anything inevitably does go wrong with his machine. We can see on the right hand of the screen that Walter's also got his Downloads folder. And inside of this Downloads folder, there are 3 individual files. We've got a PowerPoint, a PDF, and an Excel sheet. And George, out of these files, which to you sounds maybe a bit more nefarious, a bit more funky to look at, shall we say?
I mean, they all just sound like the standard file type, so I would trust any of those. It's not an exe or anything like that.
Exactly, and that's really the point that we're actually trying to make here. All of these files look relatively normal, but actually built into each of these files is ransomware. So this really does show how easy it is to hide this ransomware and to allow these kind of infections. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump straight into the quarterly reports document here. And from double clicking on that, we can see that it's pretty straightforward, but nothing's actually opened right now. It seems a little bit strange, but Walter's okay with that. He understands he's got quite a slow machine. As you can see, he is using Windows 7. It's a little bit dated. So he's gone off, he's got his cup of tea. He does tend to find that this happens with the larger scale documents. He's come back and, well, he's noticed that something's a little bit different with his machine. He's got a huge big red box on his screen, and a lot of his documents have actually changed icon now. So they've, well, lost their icon. They've gone to a kind of a white blank sheet, and they've also been named as a .ecc at the end. Now, for those of us who are aware, changing the file extension is one of the first things that ransomware does when it goes through and infects a machine. We're using CryptoLocker v3 here today, so one of the first things that it will do is actually change the extensions to a .ecc. And then once that's completed, we can actually see that this big red box that Walter is pretty terrified about has now popped up on the screen. We can see the private key is going to be destroyed in 3 days. Very simply, that means that if he does not pay within 3 days, let's call them a hacker here, the hacker will delete the decryption key. So even if he does pay after that, they will not, or Walter will not be able to get his data back. It's kind of forcing him to pay a little bit earlier. And we're seeing very similar tactics with loads of other kind of types of ransomware out there. Now, in terms of how it is that he can pay, it's pretty straightforward and simple. He can pay via Bitcoin. They have actually changed his background and given him some nice instructions how to download the Tor browser, how to access and actually get some Bitcoin, and then how to send this over. So you could say they're trying to be as helpful as possible. And then over from there, just above, we can actually see that this has been encrypted with an RSA 2048-bit key. Very simply, it's going to take about 6.4 quadrillion years to decrypt every single possible combination using an average laptop from nowadays. So it's pretty fair to say that Walter is pretty terrified. He has no idea what's going on. George, where can we go from here?
Well, as a representative of Bondtech, the fantastic MSP, I am now going to try and handle this issue using a variety of Datto's products. And of course, my day-to-day, I live out of the Autotask PSA system. It is my service desk, the CRM system, contract management, and a whole host of other things. And like a good engineer, I'm going to record this down as a new ticket. So, opening up my ticket page, I will put in the company name, which is Richmond Gardens. I will then select the individual, which in this case was Walter. We can actually synchronize this list with the Active Directory, which is a nice time-saving tip. And now we want to fill out the rest of the ticket, and I have created a template because, unfortunately, ransomware is quite a common thing that happens to the MSP, to the clients of Bondtech MSP. So one last quick thing I'm going to do is I want to fill out the assets correctly. And because the assets have synchronized in from Datto RMM into the service desk on the Autotask side, I can just select the device that I associated to Walter ahead of time, and that's now available from the ticket. Can already see antivirus is not detected. Patch management, it failed to install the last updates, not surprising. And we're not even managing the software updates as well for things like Java, Adobe, Chrome, etc. So it's not looking good. But let's save this ticket and let's go in and investigate. Is this really a case of ransomware? A single click brings me into the RMM platform. I do not need to log in separately because, well, it's a single sign-on between the two. And I have got a web remote button here, which is our new type of remote connection tool. This is our next generation of screen share. And the clever thing about it is that the connection from my engineer's side is actually done from the HTML5 web browser. And we're connecting through to the client's PC, which has an agent installed. So very quick connection speed. Walter seems to have logged out, or maybe he's gone home and has given up on the day. So I'm going to log in again for him. And indeed, it looks like this is a very obvious case of ransomware. Big red box, lots of .ecc data. I'm going to do a very quick check here to see if our text document can be opened. No, it cannot. Can I change it back to its previous format and open it then? Let's save that. Back to text. And, oh dear, no. Properly encrypted data. I've seen everything I need to see now. So I think, Ben, what's the story back at the Richmond Gardens office? I've heard there's been a development.
Yeah, so Walter Richards is he's pretty terrified, pretty scared. He's been running around the office. He's terrified that he's gone around. He's infected everything, and he actually went and spoke to the managing director at Richmond Gardens. The managing director remembers back to a story that was in the news about a type of ransomware called WannaCry and how it was spreading across networks and infecting any machines that it could find. And he got understandably quite scared. So scared, in fact, that he just went ahead and unplugged the file server. Now, he didn't do a safe shutdown, so there is a chance, of course, that this data could have now been corrupted. Now,
seems a bit unlikely, but we're just really trying to find any excuse to simulate a disaster failure. And the question today is, will it blend? So, Ben, do you want to take the server being backed up by our lovely new Cirrus 4 business?
I'd love to. So, we've got our server. We're going to go ahead and just unplug everything, and we're going to just chuck it in.
I think we've got a problem here.
Definitely. Be right back. So, it's pretty clear to see that we've managed to solve the issue of it fitting in the blender. So, why don't we go ahead and try it on the fondue setting?
Fondue. I like your taste, sir.
Ooh, server smoke. Don't breathe that.
I love the smell of server in the morning. I hope our mic's still okay after that.
Yes. So, it's pretty clear that we can see that the server is now in pieces. The server has been destroyed. We know that Walter's documents are currently infected with ransomware, and we need to get the Richmond Gardens company back up and running as quickly as possible. So, George, what are we going to do next?
Whew, that smell. Well, we're going to come back to our platform, our management tools, and actually I can see an alert already that some servers have gone offline. And ignoring the top one there, this ticket was actually driven by an automated alert because, of course, our RG server has gone offline. So I'm going to use this as a quick springboard over into the RMM page for this device. Walter Rich's device is still online, but yeah, RG server is indeed offline. And the good news is that we've been backing it up with our RG Cirrus here, and we have, now the most recent backup has failed, could not connect, not too surprised by that. But we have at least a recent backup point earlier today. So these shortcuts along the top are going to be a massive help. They're going to mean that I do not need to go and find another console to log into. I can click here and actually begin a local restore straight from the local interface of our Cirrus device. So our correct device is pre-selected. Now, Ben, which recovery type do you think is going to be the best one for the job here?
Well, I mean, the local server has been destroyed, but the Cirrus appliance is still actually up and running. So we're going to go ahead and choose the local virtualization option. From selecting local virtualization, we've got a list of our recovery points just above, and we can then start this virtualization. Over on the left-hand side, we've got the RAM and the cores that we'd like to assign this machine. But we're actually just going to jump straight into starting this virtual machine now. We want to get this back up and running as quickly as possible so that Richmond Gardens are really suffering, well, as minimal downtime. From selecting the starter VM backup, we can see it takes about 10 seconds from me clicking that button to a server starting to virtualize on my data appliance. We can see that it's actually currently already booting through into our lovely Windows kind of boot screen. It's going to go ahead, try and get some devices ready, installing base drivers, and then from there, the guys at Richmond Gardens will be able to continue working as though there truly was no downtime.
Excellent. So I think that's the first thing ticked off. We've got their server back online. That will probably have the biggest impact to the whole business, other users that need to access those files. I think the second thing is that OneDrive data might have been shared with other people. We probably need to get that back. So how are we going to go ahead and do that, Ben?
Of course. So that's really, really simple. As you can see on our screen at this minute in time, we're logged in to our Datto partner portal. And then under status, you're going to see that we've got our SaaS protection status page. From selecting SaaS protection status, we're going to go right down to our Richmond Gardens client, as that's where we know that Walter is working, and we're going to jump into the Richmond Gardens client itself. From here, we can see there's a nice bar at the top with some kind of drop-down menus that I can jump into, but we're going to go ahead straight away into Recovery and then OneDrive. From selecting OneDrive, we're going to have a list of the users that are currently being backed up using Datto SaaS protection for Office 365, and we're going to go ahead and select Walter Richards. Inside of there, we're going to go straight to Walter's document, because as we said, Walter does need his documents back up and running as quickly as possible for this very important meeting he's got. And we can see that that file that we did create earlier, MSP Tech Day, is in here. We're going to go ahead, select on the Restore button, and then finally clicking on the Restore button on the bottom right. Now, this is going to go ahead and restore straight back into Walter's OneDrive account. You'll notice that there was a pre-selected button, and that's enabled the automatic recovery of any permissions. So anyone who was able to access this file beforehand will still be able to access it in the future once this has been recovered straight back into his account. And then the second option that was showing there was essentially to be able to recover to any other user that you're backing up using Datto SaaS protection. Now let's double check and see where this file is. So inside of our OneDrive, we're going to go ahead, refresh our page, and we can see that we've got a brand new folder that was created about a minute ago. So we're going to go ahead, click on that folder, and then inside of there we've got OneDrive, we've got Walter's documents, and we can then see that MSP Tech Day TXT that we are speaking about, where George mentioned his love for KFC, Teal, and obviously Denmark Street.
Great stuff. So I think there's just one thing left now, Ben. We've got the OneDrive data back up and running, we've got the server back up and running, but Walter's laptop is probably in a miserable state right now. It's not just OneDrive data he's got on there, there's other photos, there's other documents. How are we going to recover that?
Great question. So we're going to recover that using Datto Cloud Continuity. We mentioned it right at the start of this demo, and it's quite fitting that it finishes up as well. And built into Datto Cloud Continuity, we're going to use the bare metal restore functionality. Very simply, it's a bootable ISO that you would install onto a USB drive. You would plug that into the machine, whether it be a desktop or a laptop that you would like to get back up and running from the previous backup that you've taken, and then you would boot into that USB stick. From booting into that, you're going to see on the screen that you can go ahead through the Datto utilities, choose the backup once you've logged into the Datto partner portal, and you can choose your backup, choose your machine, and then that will drag that backup down from the cloud and install it onto that physical machine for you, getting it booting again.
It's pretty impressive stuff, doing a bare metal restore directly from Datto's cloud onto that hardware.
Exactly. So hopefully what you guys have seen in this short while that we've had together is how the Datto products can really integrate in with each other, but also complement each other and work to be able to help customers and help you guys provide the best service possible. So with that said, in true Will It Blend fashion, Jason, we're going to pass it back over to you. Cheers.
Thank you.